Hey everybody, hope you're going well. Today we have a very exciting tutorial on sending emails from the FlutterFlow app using Firebase. So traditionally, you can see in the FlutterFlow documentation, the send email action does not actually send the email. It simply redirects to the email app and pre-fills the subject and body, and for the user to actually have to press the send button to send the email. So this actually doesn't work really well because this is actually not sending an email as you want it to be. Because a lot of apps out there now and users expect transactional emails. And what I mean by transactional emails is that if something happens, the email should be sent in the backend without notices. So a common example would be you purchase something, you would expect a confirmation receipt order email, or if you're running a marketplace, when a food delivery driver has delivered food, you may expect an email from the company saying the food has been delivered. Or if you buy something on eBay or something has been shipped by the seller, you expect an email that the package has been shipped. So these are called transactional emails, that things are happening all the time. And this doesn't work well at all with this send email action FlutterFlow has created. So how do we actually send the email? What we'll be leveraging today is basically Mailgun, i.e. a third-party service to send the email. In addition, an extension called Trigger Email from Firestore that's made by Firebase that connects with Mailgun and subsequently actually sends the email on our behalf from our app. So let's get started on it. So what we expect at the end is that, very simply, I simply have a subject field here and the message. And when I press send email by Firebase, we'll actually send the email itself. So as you can see, it doesn't bring up the native app, on the iOS device that's shown in the documentation. So you can see here, I've actually received the email of what we have just sent from our app without the need to open up the native mail app and actually press send. This is a simple example on how we can actually send the email. You actually don't need the front end if you're simply sending transactional email in the back end without the users even noticing. How do we send transactional emails? We'll be leveraging a Firebase extension. Specifically, we will be using the Trigger Email from Firestore extension made by Firebase. So you can see here, when we view the detail, you can see here that it composes and sends an email based on the content written to a specific Cloud Firestore collection. So basically what happens is that when you create a document in a specified collection, it will leverage the connection to a third-party email service and subsequently send that email. Reading the documentation, you can see here it allows, email services such as Sendgrid and Mailgun and etc. And subsequently, you can also allow other email services such as Hotmail. To get started, what I want to do is use Mailgun. So all you got to do in this scenario is that you simply have to create a Mailgun account that is free. And then subsequently, you can use a sandbox environment to test and send and see how it works. So how do we configure this Firebase extension? So what you got to do is press install, select the project that you want to install, and then there's some information that you should review, but most of it is just simply telling you how it works and what it's creating, and subsequently what needs to be done. And then here's the part where you configure the extension and then set up the SMTP connection. So there's a guide here on how to do it. So most of the time, if you're using Mailgun, you probably just put SMTP // and then I'll show you how to get the remaining detail here, the username and the port number. So by going back to Mailgun, you can see here, if you go to send, and then you go sending, and then if you scroll down to domain and settings, and then you go SMTP credential, you can see here, Mailgun automatically provides you a sandbox SMTP credential. And then all you got to do here is just copy this and then paste this here. So the format will be SMTPS / paste it, what you just said, and then the you're using is basically the @smtpmailgun.org. So this is kind of the this is basically the SMTP server settings. So you go at that, and then colon again, and the port you want to use is 465. And that's basically it for the SMTP connection URI. And then for the password, you can just press reset password here, and it will generate a password for you to copy. And I'm just going to copy it here and press paste, and then I'll just create the secret. So now the secret is created. What is the email document collection you're listening for? So what is the collection it's retrieving the detail from to send the email? So I'm just going to, instead of calling it mail, I'm just going to call it email. You can set a default from address. So I'm just going to simply grab because I'm using the sandbox provided by Mailgun, I'm just going to grab what they've provided as a login here. So if you don't want to use a sandbox environment, you can actually add your own domain. So suppose you have your own set of domain for your own business, you can actually add it here and subsequently use that email to send it and reply to those emails. And I'm going to quickly scroll down, and these settings are not really important. So now I'm just going to press install extension on this Firebase project. So it will take maybe 3 to 5 minutes, as it says, to install this extension. In the meantime, let's just view on how to use this extension. So you can see here, what it's asking for is basically, you need to create a document in this format. So once you create a document in this format, in the specified collection we're using called email, it will automatically grab the subject, the text, the HTML into the email and sends it using Mailgun in this scenario. So how do we configure this, right, in FlutterFlow? So I've created something very basic here. We're going to have a simple page where there's a text field and a send email field. I'm not entering a specific email because in Mailgun's sandbox environment, if you you can't actually send it to everyone, unfortunately. What they allow you to do is send it to specific emails you have verified. So you can see here, in a sandbox environment, you can only send it restricted to authorized recipient here, it says. And I've just entered an email for authorized recipient. This is my just kind of like spam email, basically. So that's why I'm not configuring a field to send to a specific email that I would like, because I could only send it to some authorized emails. Anyway, so basically I have a text field here, which I will be using to populate the text field here and the HTML field. And maybe I actually add another text field for subject to show how it works. So these are the two fields I'll be using, and a button which will subsequently populate the logic of later to create that document. So the document needs to be of format with a to field and a message field of a custom data type of subject, text, HTML. So how do we firstly create this schema? So what we need is basically a custom data type. So let's call this custom data type message to replicate this. So message will consist of, as the document says, subject of type string, HTML of type string, and also text of type string. So that's how it works. And then we will create a new collection. Let's call this collection matching exactly what we have specified in the Firebase extension, and is email. And then we'll put the first field called to of type string, and then the second field will be called message, and it will be the custom data type we just created of data type message. And that's basically the schema required for the email. So if you read the documentation, you can see here you can actually add attachments. So if you really want attachments, there is actually a custom data type. It says an array containing attachments, no mailer options supported. So if you click this hyperlink, it will show you what other fields of attachments you need. Suppose you just simply want kind of like attachment where it's a path of your path that allows the user to stream it and a file name to show in the attachment, what you can do here is create a custom data type called attachment. And then within this field, what you want is basically, let's just choose file name as a string, and then also path. Basically the kind of like the URL to stream that file. I'm just going to type string as well. And then in your message collection, message custom data type, you just add the field attachments with an S here. And then you go custom data type of type attachments, and it's a list. So this is basically how you can attach files into your email. However, in this example, it's going to be very simple. We're just going to use subject and text and HTML, where HTML is just plain text. I'm not going to do anything special because I want to show you how we can use this extension to send emails, not to create HTMLs and send attachments. Anyway, going back to the extension that was installing, so you can see it has now installed. So we don't need to do anything anymore now the extension is installed. And configure this page. It's going to be very basic, right? So what we want to do is create a new document in a collection called email. And what do we need to do here? Let's just do something basic. On tap, we just create a document. And the collection we want to add to is basically the email collection. And then the to email, we have a specified value of my spam email. And then in the message, what we want to do is set the message variables. We're going to create data type object of message. And the fields we need are basically the subject, HTML, and text. So the subject is going to be a variable, the widget state into subject text field. HTML and text, I'm going to set them exactly the same because I'm just sending a plain text email here. So we the enter message field, and this is just a replica of that. And then press save, and that's done. And that's just for a snack bar. Email sent. Cool. Now let's test this. Okay, now that the app has loaded, let's send the email. Maybe the subject is hello world. This is a test from FlutterFlow. And let's press send email and see what happens. So you can see the banner shows email has been sent. So let's check the authorized email to see whether I've received that email. Cool. You can see here in my inbox, we have the email of subject hello world and the text of this is a test from FlutterFlow app. So you can see here the from email is a sandbox email provided by Mailgun. You can also see in the Firebase collection of email that we're using, you can see here the message that was created, the HTML subject and text. In addition, the extensions kind of response to it. So you can see here the message ID is populated from Mailgun and the response of it. So it'd be great success and the state of success, and it was sent on December the 14th, 2024. So you can see here that the email has been successfully sent. So this is how you can send an actual email from your FlutterFlow app. Instead of the typical FlutterFlow action of sending email, which basically just opens the native mail app for the user to actually send an email. So this is actually very powerful because there's a lot of use cases where emails are required. For example, transactional emails when the user has purchased something, you might want to send them a receipt or invoice or a confirmation order email. Or when someone has completed something and you want to send an email to the other users. This is important. For example, you might be doing a document signing app and things like that, right? These are basically all transactional emails. Basically, if something happens, do this actual sending of the email without the need of the user to actually press send. So I hope you like this quick tutorial on how to send emails on your FlutterFlow app using the Firebase extension. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe for more content on FlutterFlow.